Hey guys, I got Sue Malone here from strategysmallbusiness.com. Sue and I have known each other since 2009. She's done over 30,000 small business loans, has funded all kind of different companies, is traveling around the world. She just spoke to University of Oklahoma State the other day to their entrepreneurship center. I believe it's with Michael Morris, correct, Sue?
It's with Craig Waters. Michael Morris has moved on to Florida.
Oh, he's moved to Florida. And then you're going down to Florida after this to go speak to them down there. And you also help a lot of businesses all around the world. And Sue, what's one of the craziest businesses you've ever funded?
Well, I'm glad we're not on primetime television because it would be bleeped. I've a yak sperm industry, which was kind of interesting. I didn't know that there was such a market for it, but he's been highly successful. He paid the loan back, so I guess there's a real need for it. But you know, the Mo blows and goes, and the fashion designers and truckers and patents and new ideas for software, all kinds of wonderful things. Marijuana, soda pop, which is kind of interesting. So that one I had to be careful on because they could only do it at that time in Colorado. So he had to make sure he stayed within Colorado.
Mm-hmm. For you're talking about the marijuana business?
Yeah.
Yeah. Make sure it didn't get in trouble. You
got
to be able to pay the money back,
that
right?
was, oh, absolutely. And that was through private. That wasn't through my SBA program because it's totally illegal through SBA. So it was through the private program that we have also.
So I know, Sue, you have right now, you've got a product out there. It's a $350,000 unsecured loan that somebody could take. Could you kind of explain to everybody what it is, an unsecured loan versus a secured loan?
Right. With an unsecured loan, they're not going to use any of your home for the unsecured loan, where if the loan is being used to buy any equipment, there will be a UCC filing on the equipment as long as it's just within your business. They only look at things within your business and nothing outside of your business to secure it to. Anytime you go over $350,000, they will look to see if you have a home or something to take as a security. So I try and keep it simple, under $350,000, working capital to use to start or expand your business.
Okay. And then for when somebody goes and comes to you for a loan, what are the qualifications that you're looking for, and what are some of the things that somebody needs to make sure they have in order before they come to sit down in front of you?
Well, first of all, they have to be alive, so that always helps. I had someone put somebody in that wasn't quite alive, so that would really help. They have to have a pulse. But what we're looking at is it's a business, strictly do nothing but business loans. I don't do anything personal. I don't do residential, so sometimes people get that mixed up. What I'm really looking at is do they have the wherewithal to pay back? I'm not in the grant business. Their business needs to show that they have a cash flow and they can service the debt to pay it back, and they have every intention of starting or expanding their business.
Mm-hmm. Now, so if you could go back to the original time, I know that, and thank you for all the support you do with the military, and thank you for the time and energy and effort you spent traveling around the country. I know that's where you and I first met in 2009, was you came to speak to military, and it was entrepreneurship up in Syracuse University, which I got a huge value out of. And you know, share us a little bit about your history and why you have this affinity to the military, because I know your dad was a Marine.
Absolutely. But the reason why I have such an affinity for the military is because we're all sitting in a free country, because people, Daryl, like you put your lives on the line for us. We have freedom of speech. We have freedom of movement. We don't have any dictatorships. And anyone that puts their line on the line so all of us can be free deserves my respect. And I will go 10,000 miles for our military because they did it for us. And as you know, going overseas and serving in the military is not everything you see in Top Gun. There's a lot more to it. There's a lot of really rough and tumble things, and some people come back with some issues from it all, and they come back with those issues for being on the front line to support all of us. So anything I can do to help our people that have served in the military, I'm all for it. Put together think tanks, we put together caucuses, so you're not forgotten. Because 1% are in the military, The rest of the 99% live in a free world, for crying out loud. Let's thank them. Let's do something besides talk. Let's get some results. And so that's what I'm all about. That's why I do what I do.
You heard it here, folks. All about getting results. Talk is cheap, right?
Yeah, so cheap.
So what's one of the things we look at with the mindset around money and the mindset around just being an entrepreneur? And you've been an entrepreneur for a long time. You've run a lot of different businesses. You've helped to see so many different businesses. But what's your original memory around becoming an entrepreneur at the youngest ages, even as an early child? Your first, memories around that.
Well, the first thing, you've got to believe in yourself, because remember, you're the one that's going to make it all work. And if you listen to all the people around you and all the negativity, it will stop you, because people love to be negative. I mean, stop it. Move on from it. If you know you've got something that you believe in, that you really know is going to make a difference, either a product or a service, go with it, because some days you're going to have some really bad days. I mean, my first phone call this morning was horrific. And I thought, okay, I can either let that phone call take me down, or I can move on to the next step and say, okay, let's turn the corner and say, that person might have had a bad day, might have, had the wrong cup of coffee, but that's no reflection on me. As long as you do and follow integrity and a forthright and honest with people, there's nothing better than being an entrepreneur. As you know, Daryl, you and I have been friends for a long time. You can't get fired.
This is true.
And when you go in for your review, you can write your own review, and it can be pretty darn good. And give yourself a raise if you want to. But the best thing is you got to believe in yourself and believe in the product or the service that you're doing. Because if you don't, phoniness comes across really loud and clear.
Mm-hmm. And what's the earliest memory that you have about becoming an entrepreneur yourself? What was your first, did you go to school to become an entrepreneur? Did you have a first lemonade stand? What was your earliest memory on that?
Well, no, I wasn't. I didn't go to school to become an entrepreneur, because they didn't even have it when I went to school. They didn't even know what an entrepreneur was. But a lot of my whole family has always owned their own businesses and had it. And I did start very young with that entrepreneurship. I didn't have a lemonade stand. I had homemade fruit pie stand along a major freeway that went up to a lake. So I sold fruit pies, jellies, all those kinds of great things.
Mm-hmm. And then as you started down that road, what did you go to school for when you went to college?
Oh, it was fun, because when I went to school, you could be two things: a nurse or a teacher. Well, first of all, I can't do nurse because I can't be in a hospital. I get the heebie-jeebies on it. And teaching school, I tried, and I have to tell you a funny story, is that I was working with the football team where I went to school. In fact, I was typing their papers. And I got signing bonuses of $650,000 to $1 million to go play for Green Bay Packers, all these great schools. And my starting salary was $13,000. I said, okay, I'm done. I'm going back to school, and I'm going to become an accountant and work in the financial world. So I immediately switched after I realized the big difference in salaries. And also, one of the other reasons that I went into accounting is, first of all, because you need to know your numbers, you need to know your bottom line, and you will always be able to find a job. It's a great job for insurance purposes. Mm-hmm. So it was great fun. I love it. Numbers are like a puzzle. You can piece a lot of things together, and you can see where your holes are in your business. So that's what I started out as.
And all the businesses you've funded over the years, I know you funded some businesses that probably went really well and some businesses that didn't go so well. What would you say is some of the biggest lessons that if you were going to sit down with an entrepreneur and talk about, going out to get access for capital from a bank, or if they're going to try to get is it the mission statement? Is it the business plan? Is it what is the biggest thing you see lessons wise you could share with, you've learned from these entrepreneurs over the year, the ones that have been successful and the ones that haven't been successful?
Well, have a clear focus of what you want to do, where you want to go with it, what your business is, what your niche is, who your competition is around you, how are you different, and how are you going to, if you're not different, how are you going to make yourself different? I really like niche businesses because it's not too big. You focus in on a niche and then you grow that niche and then add another niche and add another niche. I believe in slow, steady growth. Don't take too much money, that you have so much money, because that's what happened during the downfall. When we hit the economic crisis, people had taken out, because money was cheap just before the crisis, took out all kinds of big loans, and they had secured them to their home. So not only did they lose their business, but they also lost their home. So I'm fairly conservative in that I believe in gradual, steady growth. Do one thing really well, add something else onto it, add something else onto it, but plan. But you can't always know where it's going to be in 3 and 5 years. So plan 12 months out, and then just keep adding on there. That's where I saw the biggest issues. People think they need more money than they actually need.
Some gold nuggets right there, I guess. First of all, you don't chase 50 different shiny objects at one time. That never works out well, right? The whole adage of you chase 2 rabbits, you get none. You don't eat. So right there off the bat, that's a huge golden nugget. Make sure that you're focused on that one thing. Get that one plate spinning, whatever that one thing is, making money, whether it's a marketing funnel you're doing, whether it's a product sale you're doing, and don't take your eyes off of that. And the one challenge I would put to that is make sure that's what your market actually wants. I see in a lot of times that they'll start developing a product or a service, and they'll spend 80% of the time working on that, and think maybe 20% of the time thinking about how they're going to go sell it. What are some of the biggest the biggest pitfalls you've seen business owners make over the years that have kind of been like a trend? Like if somebody is coming into you after seeing the thousands of business owners you've taken applications and talked with and presentations, what are some of the things when people come up to you and they say that and you're like, this guy needs to get some help?
When they say, I will take any amount of money that I can get, then I know they haven't thought it through. You've got to think it through. And people get really bogged down on their business plan, and they spend a year writing their business plan. By the time they're done in a year, the market has changed somewhat. So don't be frightened all the time. So many small business people, the word fear, to me, is the worst 4-letter word in the dictionary. Because they let fear overtake them. As Daryl, with your wonderful service that you offer with the masterminding, get people focused on what really works. That's where they need to stay, and they need to keep remembering that. Keep remembering that yes, they can be successful. Yes, it will work. Yes, you will have some hurdles. And that's where I see the biggest issue is the fear factor just creep into their mind, and they can't get out of it. They spiral out of place. It's crazy to watch it. Yeah,
the fear factor kind of creeps up on them, and it keeps them from having successes. Is very common, and it's almost like the fear of inaction. They're afraid to actually launch. If they actually launch something, oh my gosh, it might not be 100% correct. Well, I love the way Bill Gates kind of handles that sometimes when he's launching out some kind of software product. The engineers are constantly wanting more time to perfect it. And he goes back to them. He's like, well, nope, you're done. He's like, tomorrow we go live. I don't care if it's done or not.
Because you learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. What's one of the biggest, I like to say there's no failures in life. There's only feedback. What's one of the biggest things you took away feedback-wise in business as you've seen over the years for yourself?
Let failure be your success. Everyone's going to fail at something. Don't let it overtake you. Learn from it. Pick yourself up and start over. Look how many businesses, just as you gave the example of Bill Gates, look how many of the items that he brought to market failed. Probably more that failed than have been successful. But if you didn't have some of those failures, he wouldn't have the successes. Plus, I really believe failure makes you appreciate your successes. So always learn from your failures. Dust yourself off. Yes, someone will talk about you for 2 weeks, but then they'll find another person to talk about after that. So learn from those failures. Pick yourself up. Not everything I've had has been successful. I've failed many a times. But okay, so let me try it again. What do I have to lose? You have nothing to lose. Try it.
Absolutely. So one thing too is I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, man, I'd really like to get access to some capital. What do I need to present to you so I'm able to get access to that capital you're holding right now? Is it a business plan? Is it my credit report? Is it a P&L statement? Like, what are the things that you're going to look at when you sit down with the person and when your team evaluates me as being a good candidate to loan that money out to?
Well, if you're already in business, what I'm going to look at is your historical profit and loss and balance sheet and current year-to-date profit and loss and balance sheet. Okay, then I'm also going, if you're looking at this capital to expand your business, I'm going to ask you how you're going to expand it and what are your projections to expand it and how are you going to go about doing it. Also, one of the key things that so many small businesses forget about is marketing. You've got to have a marketing plan in place, at least written on a napkin or a note or something, that how you're going to execute that so you can keep up with the continuous new challenges that come in the marketing world. As we know, we live in a world that changes all the time for marketing. So I'm going to look at where your business is today, where you want to take your business, and can your business service this debt, and how will this debt help your business succeed? If you're a brand new startup, I'm really going to look at your projections for 24 months by month. I'm going to look at your resume to see if you have history in this business. If you don't, who are you going to bring in to help you make this business a success? And then, of course, if you're a brand new startup, it's a federal requirement. Got to look at your credit. You have to be able to show that you've been able to meet your obligations. There's just no way around it. Credit does matter in today's world. And that's federal. No one can come across that. Now, if you do have credit issues, there's other ways besides, this working capital loan to help you build your business. And we do that all day long. I mean, since I've been on this video conference with you, I've had 2 people that have called that we're funding outside of the SBA because they don't meet the credit criteria. And that's fine. We can do that, build yourself up, then go back to it and get that loan later. Mm-hmm. That happens all the time.
So one of the things you mentioned there is outside of just the normal requirements, you put an additional thing on there, which make sure they have a mentor or somebody to help them, succeed in whatever it is. And I've seen that there's a lot of people out there that try to be the Lone Ranger. Like, I'm going to go out and do this all myself. And unfortunately, a lot of times those individuals end up with called pioneers, and they have 3 arrows in their back, right? Just like when they travel west, they got hunted down by the Indians, right? So the thing is guys, don't go out and be pioneers. Is get a mentor, get somebody who's actually gone down that path, and you're hearing it right from the money woman right here that's going to give you the money. She's going to be asking these questions. And if you come in there and don't have a mentor, don't have a business plan, don't have a market plan, don't have projections, then she's going to be like, hey, thanks. It's not really nice meeting you. Come back when you have those things. Right? Is that about right?
That's about right. But you don't have to come in with the arrows in your back. You can take those out first.
Yeah.
So you can sit in the chair. But it is. And it's great to have a mentor. And it's great to have someone that you can call, because there's going to be some days when you're thinking, am I going to get out of this rabbit hole? And then when you talk to a mentor and someone who has your back, they have your best interest. That's what you want to look for in a mentor. It's your best interest, not their best interest. And talk through it, because half the time we as entrepreneurs end up getting ourselves in a cycle. You got to unwind that cycle.
Thank you, Sue. Any last minute rounds you'd like to share? I like to call them save rounds in the Marine Corps. It's all about save rounds. So if you were going to have a conversation with your younger self, when you first started out down your entrepreneur path, what are some of the things you would actually share with that younger Sue and communicate to help you along the way?
Go do it. Go out there and do it. As I said before, okay, if you fail, pick yourself up and try it again until you get it right, if you really believe in yourself and believe in what you're doing. Don't let fear get in your way, because if you don't do it, somebody else will do it, and then you'll be really angry. And it's really easy to get a steady paycheck twice a month, go into a cubicle and know you're going to have coffee in the coffee pot down in the coffee room. But is that really what you want to do? You got one life to live. Live it. Everybody has an idea that they would, and a dream. Go do it. Okay, if you fail, try it again. If all of a sudden you realize entrepreneurship and business ownership isn't for you, you can always go back and be hired somewhere. Because on your resume, they're going to see that you took risks. You were willing to put your life on the line to do it, like all of our wonderful people who served our country. and you came back and said, that's not for me, I need to do this. So all the way around, you're going to be a winner.
Thank you so much, Sue. And where's the best place that somebody can get a hold of you?
They can go to my website. Everything's right there on my website, www.strategiesforsmallbusiness.com. They can call me at 925-381-8409. They can shoot me an email, whatever works best.
Okay, absolutely. And is there any books you'd recommend to a new entrepreneur who's just starting out, or something that you've read along the way that's been helpful for you?
Oh, there's so many good books. Gosh, that's a great question, Daryl. E-Myth, everyone talks about E-Myth. Everyone likes that a great deal, by Michael Gerber, because he has some very practical knowledge. I like practical books. So that would be one that comes to mind right away.
So when you walk in to get your loan application, make sure you got a copy of E-Myth with you, guys. Signing off. Thanks a lot, sir. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Daryl. Are you kidding? Bye-bye.